Meanwhile, we have an update. A ruling has been handed down in the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie civil suit. You remember we had it here on Court TV, played it for you live. Brian Laundrie's attorneys have filed a motion to get the civil suit that was filed by Gabby Petito's family thrown out. Well, the judge has made a decision ruling. Did Judge Hunter Carroll that he's going to deny this petition and this motion to dismiss the lawsuit. The parties will be back in court July 7th for a pretrial conference. This will move on. The judge ruled that the attorney did make an objectively outrageous statement when they said that they hoped that she would be found alive during the search. Let's bring back in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Eric Faddis in Denver, Colorado. And Eric, this was this civil suit. The Petitos are saying, hey, the Laundries knew that our daughter was dead, yet they had the audacity to say, oh boy, I hope everything works out for y'all. Through a statement made by their attorneys. They didn't say a word. In fact, they were told to stay silent by their attorneys, and now they are being sued. They wanted this thrown out. A lot of people thought that they'd be successful with this motion to dismiss. Turns out they weren't. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Ted, I think the judge probably made the right call on this. Look, the reality in practice is that judges routinely deny these motions to dismiss because they don't want to substitute their judgment for the jury's judgment. The judge in this case may have thought to him or herself, that this claim is a little shaky. It's not the strongest claim I've ever seen, and that's my personal opinion. But I'm not going to close the courtroom doors on the Petitos. I'm going to let them have their day in court in front of a jury, and that's the effect of the judge's ruling today.
And it was a big hurdle, was it not, for the Petitos? Because let's face it, once they get into court, if they get in front of a jury, whether or not they should or not, there could be some major jury nullification in a case like this because it's so emotional, and the behavior is pretty outlandish. Legal or not, it just breaks every code of basic ethics when you know your son's girlfriend is dead and you don't tell the parents. It's could be very dramatic, this case, could it not?
Yeah, it's clearly very emotionally charged, and that was one reason it gripped the entire nation. The emotions are going to run high at this trial, no question. But I think one thing the defense can focus on is one, that the defendants didn't actually make the statement. It was their attorney, and who knows if this statement was at the behest of Laundrie's parents, but there's been no evidence as to that fact so far. On the other hand, we saw in the Johnny Depp trial where I believe it was Johnny Depp's attorney had made a statement on his behalf, and Johnny Depp was found to have defamed Amber Heard based on his attorney's statement. So I think this is sort of a novel trend in some jurisdictions to hold a person accountable for what their attorney has said. If the defendants lose, maybe they come back and sue their own attorney for that statement. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, in the Depp case, it was basically the judge or the jury agreed with Amber Heard's legal team that indeed Johnny Depp's lawyer was an agent for him and was speaking on his behalf, and we're going to see the same thing be attempted to play out in this one. At the end of the day, there is likely a component of we just want the world to know, and we want a day in court, win or lose here. The Petitos obviously still reeling from this entire episode, and that could be part of the motivation to file a lawsuit. Less about money, more about accountability in their mind.
Oh, no question. There's a sense that this is really based on principle for the Petitos. Look, their daughter was tragically murdered, and it appears that it was at the hands of Brian Laundrie. At least that's the allegation. And they never got their day in court on the criminal side because Brian Laundrie offed himself. And so, they never had their chance to go in front of a jury and tell their story. And so this is, on the civil side, is really their opportunity to do that. And they just really jumped over one of the hurdles in the judge denying the motion to dismiss today.
What other hurdles do you think could be ahead for this case, preventing it to go, or do you expect it will eventually go to trial in front of a jury?
Oh, gosh, I really do. I don't think there's very high prospects for settlement in this one. And, I think it's going to be difficult because when you look at the statement the Laundrie's attorney made, it's open to interpretation. It doesn't necessarily say that we believe Gabby will be found alive. It essentially says, we hope she's reunited with her family. That can be interpreted multiple ways. So I think that the lawyers are going to get in there and really parse out what that statement meant and what it could have meant, and whether that rises to the level of unlawful conduct.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, what they said was that they hoped that Gabby would be reunited with her parent, and that could be her remains, right? I mean, sadly and crassly, they weren't telling the entire truth through this statement, but it was carefully worded by a lawyer with this in mind, and I'm sure the lawyer at that point, when they released the statement, I'm sure was thinking, oh, we're good, because of the way I worded this. It doesn't really say anything about her being alive yet. Here we are. The exact thing he was trying to prevent is what they are facing. And for this to move forward, there will have to be a component, will there not, in a civil action in front of a jury of retelling the entire story of how did we get here? And so they will, to your point earlier, get a little bit of their day in court in terms of what happened to their daughter.
Oh, of course, the Laundries attorney's statement about Petito being reunited with her family is only meaningful within the context of this saga that drew out for multiple weeks. And so, yeah, the Petitos are going to get in there, and they're going to get to tell a jury what happened to their daughter from their perspective. And I think that whether they win or lose the trial, that alone will be at least some semblance of saving grace, some semblance of closure for the Petito family.
Yeah, I'll be telling the world, too, because that's something, to your point earlier, that the nation was gripped upon, this story, what happened to these two. They documented their life on video, of course, the good parts, and it really did attract people from the out of the gate. And one of the issues in this case, or one of the things that we have been privy to now, is Brian Laundrie's notebook, where he made this confession of sorts. And part of it, talking about what happened after, he said, rather than calling authorities, he rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake even. And he went on to say that he killed Gabby, but he sugarcoated it, saying that there was an accident as they were going across this stream and she hit her head, and he decided rather than carry her to safety, he would kill her, a mercy killing, like putting her down to get her out of pain. All of this very ugly and difficult, and even though Brian Laundrie won't be there, his story will be told in this civil lawsuit, which again we think is going to go to the next level and likely end up in a courtroom.